Who taught you to cover your head like that? Ethan Callahan asked, and suddenly I knew the most dangerous man in Manhattan had noticed the one secret I'd spent 11 months hiding. His hand hadn't even touched me. He'd only reached toward my shoulder to remove a tiny piece of glass caught on my black waitress uniform. But my body had reacted before my mind could stop it. I ducked. Both arms came over my head. The silver tray in my hand rattled loudly enough to silence Ethan's entire VIP table. I straightened immediately, heat flooding my face. I'm sorry. Ethan lowered his hand. He was 35, dressed in a charcoal suit, dark hair swept neatly back, steel gray eyes fixed on me with an attention that made lying feel pointless. Everyone at Marlowe House knew who he was. Ethan Callahan didn't merely associate with dangerous men. He commanded them. Callahan Syndicate controlled enough of New York's underground economy that people lowered their voices when his name entered a conversation. Tonight, 3 of his captains sat around him, discussing a problem nobody outside that table was supposed to understand. One of Callahan's shipments had been intercepted that morning. The location had been confidential. 5 people had known, which meant Ethan had come to dinner already hunting a traitor. And somehow, I just made him curious about me. I startled easily, I said. His expression didn't change. That's not what happened. My stomach tightened. I should get back to work. Ethan didn't block me. Didn't grab me. He simply watched. People flinch when they're startled, Claire. Hearing my name from him made me freeze. They don't protect their head unless they've learned to. For half a second, another room flashed through my memory. A locked door. A lamp lying sideways. Ryan's voice telling me everything would be fine if I would just stop making him angry. I pushed the memory down. Nobody taught me anything. Ethan studied me for another second, then nodded once. He let me leave. That should have relieved me. Instead, crossing the dining room, I noticed a man alone at the bar staring directly at me. Gray coat. Untouched bourbon. His attention shifted away the instant our eyes met. When I glanced back toward Ethan, he wasn't watching me anymore. He was watching that man. One subtle movement of Ethan's fingers brought a suited associate to his side. A few quiet words followed. The associate disappeared toward the entrance. No threats. No scene. Ethan had seen something I hadn't. My phone vibrated inside my apron as I entered the service hallway. Unknown number. I opened the message and forgot how to breathe. You still cover your head first. 11 months vanished in 3 seconds. I had changed apartments, jobs, phone numbers, everything I thought Ryan Mercer could use to find me. Another message appeared. This one contained a photograph of me standing beside Ethan's table less than 2 minutes earlier. It had been taken through the restaurant window. Then came a final sentence. Ask Callahan what happened to his shipment this morning. My hands went cold. Behind me, the kitchen door opened. Ethan's associate approached, but he wasn't looking at my phone. Ms. Bennett, Mr. Callahan needs you at the table. Why? The man hesitated. Because the customer who was watching you just left. My heart hammered. Who was he? His answer frightened me more than Ryan's message. We don't know. But before he left, he gave a Moretti signal. I knew nothing about Moretti. Ethan clearly did. When I returned, the atmosphere at his table had changed completely. Dinner was over. Phones were out. One captain was already leaving. Ethan stood beside the window, issuing quiet instructions that sounded less like suggestions than decisions already made. Change the Brooklyn route. Tell nobody why. Give each captain a different location. He turned toward me. His eyes dropped briefly to my trembling hand. Claire, do you know Ryan Mercer? My heart stopped. I had never said Ryan's name. No. Ethan stared at me. Then his phone buzzed. He read the screen, and for the first time that night, something genuinely cold entered his expression. That's unfortunate, he said. Because the man following you works for Moretti, and Ryan Mercer is the reason one of my shipments disappeared this morning. I should have kept lying, but Ethan Callahan had already learned more about my past in 30 seconds than my coworkers had in 11 months. I do not know what you are talking about, I said. Ethan placed his phone face down on the table. Around us, Marlowe House continued serving dinner, but his 3 captains had stopped eating. Then we have 2 coincidences, Ethan said. I do not believe in one. His voice remained quiet. That somehow made everyone listen harder. He turned to the captain nearest him. Brooklyn gets Pier 29. Queens gets Red Hook. Jersey gets Bayonne. Nobody receives another location until midnight. The man nodded and left immediately. I understood what Ethan was doing. Different information to different people. Whichever location leaked would identify whoever was feeding information to his enemy. Ethan was not reacting to the missing shipment. He was setting a trap. Then his attention returned to me. Ryan Mercer. Hearing the name made my fingers tighten around my apron. He was someone I knew. Someone. My ex-boyfriend. Ethan watched my face without interrupting. I left him 11 months ago. Why? The memory came fast. Ryan standing beside our kitchen table. A leather ledger opened beneath his hand. Rows of numbers I had never understood. His expression changing when he realized I had seen them. It does not matter. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly. Tonight it does. My phone vibrated again. I did not want to look. Ethan noticed. Read it. You do not give me orders. One of his captains looked almost startled. Ethan did not. Good, he said. Then decide whether you want to know why Mercer is watching a mafia meeting. That stopped me. I opened the message. Do not tell Callahan about the book. My pulse stumbled. Ethan saw something change in my expression. What book? I never said there was a book. Your face did. I hated how easily he read me. It was a ledger. Ryan kept it locked in his desk. Ethan went completely still. What was inside? Numbers. Company names. Account codes. I only saw it once. Did you take it? No. Did you copy it? No. Then why is he still looking for you? I had no answer. Ethan's phone rang. He listened for less than 10 seconds. Understood. He ended the call and looked toward Victor Hale, the 42-year-old consigliere seated across from him. Pier 29 was just requested by a Moretti broker. Victor's expression hardened. Ethan had given that location only minutes earlier. Someone inside Callahan's organization had already passed it along. Who received Pier 29? Victor asked. Ethan did not answer. He was looking at me. My phone vibrated again. Another message from Ryan. He does not know what you took. I did not take anything, I whispered. Ethan held out his hand, not touching me, simply waiting. This time I gave him the phone. He read the message once. Mercer thinks you have something. He is wrong. Maybe. Ethan handed the phone back. But Moretti thinks so too. Before I could ask how he knew, Victor's phone lit up. He checked the screen and looked directly at Ethan. We found Mercer. Relief almost escaped me. Then Victor continued. There is a problem. According to federal records, Ryan Mercer died 8 months ago. My stomach dropped. Ethan's expression did not change. Then somebody spent considerable money making a living man disappear. He looked toward the rain-darkened window where Ryan's watcher had stood. And tonight, that man came back because of Claire. The dead man sent me another message before Ethan finished speaking. I stared at the screen, my heartbeat suddenly louder than the restaurant around me. One line. You remember more than you think. I turned the phone toward Ethan. He read it without touching me, then looked at Victor. Trace nothing from this phone. Mercer expects that. Victor nodded. Then what do you want? Ethan glanced toward the dining room, where wealthy strangers were still laughing over dessert, unaware that a mafia boss was quietly dismantling a betrayal 20 feet away. Give 3 captains 3 new delivery times for tomorrow. Same route. Different hours. Nobody else gets them. Victor left. Ethan was building another trap before the first one had even closed. Claire, he said, tell me exactly what you saw in Mercer's ledger. I already told you. Numbers. Numbers have patterns. That sentence pulled something loose in my memory. Before Ryan, I had studied accounting for 2 years. Numbers were the one thing that had always made sense to me. There were company names, I said slowly. Most looked ordinary. Construction. Freight. Consulting. Ethan's expression sharpened. Anything else? I closed my eyes. I could see Ryan's desk again. The brown leather cover. Cream pages. Columns written in black ink. There were initials beside some transactions. Which initials? I do not remember. Ethan did not push. Then remember the room. I opened my eyes. What? Not the book. The room. Where were you standing? It was such a strange instruction that it worked. I pictured the apartment. Rain against the windows. Ryan in the shower. His desk drawer left open. I had been looking for a utility bill. The ledger was underneath it. There was a payment for $2.4 million. Ethan went still. To whom? My stomach tightened. Bennett Holdings. Silence. That is my last name. Ethan exchanged one look with the man beside him. Do you own a company? No. Did Mercer ever ask you to sign business documents? He asked me to sign tax forms once. He said they were connected to our apartment. The shame came immediately. I trusted him. Ethan's voice lowered. Trust is not stupidity. I looked at him, surprised. For a man whose entire world seemed built around suspicion, he said it without judgment. His phone buzzed. He checked the message. One of the false delivery times had already reached Moretti. Ethan now had a smaller list of suspects. He typed a short reply, then slipped the phone away. What else do you remember? I returned to the ledger in my mind. Page corners. Blue ink. A handwritten code near the bottom. Suddenly, I saw it. VH17. Ethan's face changed. Barely, but I noticed. What? I asked. He did not answer immediately. Are you certain? Yes. Ethan turned toward the hallway just as Victor returned. For the first time, I understood why Ethan Callahan frightened powerful men. He did not accuse. He collected facts until accusation became unnecessary. Victor approached. The second route leaked. Ethan watched his consigliere carefully. Who had the information? Victor named 2 captains. Neither meant anything to me. Then Ethan asked, Victor, have you ever seen the code VH17? Victor stopped. The silence lasted 1 second too long. Where did you hear that? He asked. My skin went cold. Ethan did not move. Answer the question. Victor looked from Ethan to me. Not here. That was when I realized the initials from Ryan's ledger matched the name of the man Ethan trusted most. Victor Hale. Victor Hale did not look guilty. That frightened me more than if he had. He glanced toward the crowded dining room, then back at Ethan. We need somewhere private. Ethan studied the man who had apparently stood beside him for years. No accusation. No anger. Just calculation. My office. 10 minutes. Victor nodded and walked away. I stared at Ethan. You are letting him leave? I am letting him believe nothing has changed. His initials were in Ryan's ledger. So were yours, apparently. The reminder landed hard. Bennett Holdings. $2.4 million attached to my name. Ethan picked up his coat. Someone wants me suspicious of Victor. I prefer knowing why before I cooperate. That was Ethan Callahan in one sentence. He did not chase the answer placed in front of him. He questioned who had placed it there. My manager approached before I could respond, his face pale. Claire, someone entered your employee file from the office computer. Your address was accessed. My stomach dropped. Ethan's eyes sharpened. When? 7 minutes ago. Ryan already knew where I worked. Now somebody wanted where I lived. Ethan made one call. Check Bennett's apartment. Do not enter until you know who has been there. He ended it. You cannot go home tonight. I am not becoming your prisoner. You are not. His answer came instantly. You choose where you go. I am telling you your apartment is compromised. That difference mattered more than I wanted it to. 20 minutes later, I entered a private apartment above Ethan's Midtown office because it was the only place Ryan would not expect me to choose. Downstairs, Callahan Syndicate was moving. Men entered with sealed folders. Phones rang behind closed doors. A wall displayed port schedules and shipping routes. Ethan stood at the center of it, speaking rarely, changing everything. He suspended tomorrow's 3 routes, replaced communication codes, and ordered an audit of every account connected to the missing shipment. He was not hiding from a mafia war. He was rearranging the board. Victor arrived exactly 10 minutes later. Ethan handed him a folder. Moretti requested a meeting tomorrow at 11 at Pier 40. Victor opened it. You are agreeing? I am considering it. Victor left with the information. Ethan immediately looked at another man. There is no meeting. Watch Pier 40. If Moretti prepares for one, Victor leaked it. I understood. Another trap. Hours passed. Nobody appeared at Pier 40. Victor had told no one. Ethan finally leaned back. Victor is clean. Relief lasted maybe 3 seconds. Then one of Ethan's investigators entered carrying a thin file. We found Bennett Holdings. He placed documents on the desk. The company had been opened 4 years earlier using my social security number and an electronic signature I did not remember giving. Ryan had built a financial identity around me while we were together. I felt sick. Ethan turned a page and stopped. Claire. He slid a photograph across the desk. Ryan stood outside a warehouse beside another man. Older. Gray at the temples. Familiar posture. Familiar eyes. My hands began shaking. That is impossible. Ethan watched me carefully. You know him? I could barely form the words. That is my father. The room seemed to tilt. My father died 12 years ago. Ethan looked back at the photograph. No. His voice was quiet. Certain. This picture was taken 14 months ago. I stared at the date until the numbers blurred. Everything I knew about my life had just split open. Then Ethan turned the photograph over. Someone had written 2 characters and 2 numbers across the back. VH17. Victor's initials had never been a name. Ethan reached for his phone. It is a location code. He looked at me. And I think your father left it for you. My father had been alive while I was mourning him. That thought followed me through the next hour like a second heartbeat. Ethan did not tell me to calm down. He did not offer explanations he could not prove. He simply placed every document his people had found on the table and let me read. My father's name was Thomas Bennett. 12 years ago, police told my mother and me that his car had gone into the Hudson during a winter storm. The vehicle was recovered. He was not. We buried an empty coffin because everyone said there was nothing left to wait for. Now Ethan's investigator had found something very different. Thomas Bennett had worked as an accountant for Harborvale Logistics before his disappearance. Harborvale looked legitimate. It was not. Moretti, I whispered. Ethan nodded. One of their financial fronts. My eyes moved across old payment records. My father worked for the Mafia. He worked for a company controlled by one. Whether he knew that when he started is another question. Ethan turned another page. 3 months before my father's disappearance, large transfers had begun moving through shell companies. My father had apparently copied portions of those records. Then he vanished. Ryan knew, I said. The realization hurt differently. He knew who my father was before he met me. Ethan's silence answered before his words did. That is what the evidence suggests. I remembered our first meeting at a coffee shop near Union Square. Ryan had smiled when he saw the accounting textbook under my arm. I had thought it was chance. Then he asked my last name. I had thought that was normal too. Suddenly 3 years of my life looked engineered. He never loved me. My voice broke on the last word. Ethan's expression remained controlled, but his answer was unexpectedly gentle. You do not know what he felt. You know what he did. Judge him by that. I looked at him. A mafia boss telling me not to let emotion rewrite evidence. Somehow it helped. The office door opened. Victor entered with new information. Moretti had moved people away from 2 waterfront properties and transferred money from 3 accounts within the past hour. Ethan immediately stood. They know we found something. Victor nodded. Or they think we are about to. Ethan crossed to the wall map. Freeze every Callahan transaction connected to Harborvale. Shut down our 3 exposed routes. Move nothing until I know where the leak ends. That will cost us. Less than moving blind. Nobody argued. Ethan was sacrificing money to deny his enemy information. Then Victor placed another page on the table. We traced VH17. Ethan looked at it. What is it? Vault H17. Private storage. Halcyon Federal Trust. My pulse jumped. What is inside? We cannot know without access. Victor hesitated. There is another problem. Moretti controls the holding company that owns the bank. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. Then Moretti has spent 12 years guarding something he does not want opened. He looked at me. Your father may have left the photograph because he wanted you to find that vault. My phone vibrated. Ryan again. This message contained only a date. Tomorrow, 9 in the morning. Beneath it came 6 words. If Callahan opens the vault, your father dies. I showed Ethan. His eyes stayed on the screen for several seconds. They want us frightened of opening it. I whispered. Yes. So what do we do? Ethan handed my phone back. We do not open it. I stared at him. He turned to Victor. Find every shareholder in Halcyon Federal Trust. I want leverage before sunrise. Then he looked at me. By 9 tomorrow morning, Claire, Moretti is going to open that vault for us. At 8:47 the next morning, Ethan Callahan walked into a Moretti-controlled bank without carrying a weapon, raising his voice, or asking permission. By 8:50, the bank president was waiting for us downstairs. I had slept maybe 40 minutes in the apartment above Ethan's office, but Ethan looked exactly as he had the night before. Charcoal suit. Steel gray eyes. Controlled. Only the untouched coffee in his hand suggested he had been awake all night. How did you convince them? I whispered as the elevator descended. I did not convince them. Then why are we here? Halcyon has 4 major shareholders. One has been hiding losses from the others. Another needs Callahan shipping contracts renewed next month. The third does not care who controls the bank as long as it remains profitable. He glanced at me. Moretti controls the building. He does not control everyone inside it. That was when I understood what Ethan had done before sunrise. He had not broken into Moretti's bank. He had made Eddie's ownership irrelevant. The vault level smelled like cold metal and polished stone. The bank president entered 2 codes before leading us to H17. My phone showed 858. Ryan's warning repeated in my mind. If Callahan opens the vault, your father dies. Ethan stopped before the steel door. Claire, this is your decision. You arranged all of this. Yes. And now you are asking me. It is your father's vault. For months, Ryan had made every choice feel like something I needed permission to make. Ethan had enough power to choose for me and refused to open it. The door released at exactly 9 o'clock. Inside sat 3 objects. An old silver watch, a photograph of my mother holding me as a child, and a black flash drive. My knees weakened when I saw the watch. It was his. Ethan did not touch anything until the bank president documented each item. Then Victor connected the drive to an isolated laptop. Files appeared. Shipping records. Account transfers. Moretti companies. Callahan companies. Ethan leaned closer. Someone has been moving money through both organizations. Victor opened another folder. A list of payments appeared beside names and dates. One name made Ethan's expression harden. Michael Trent, one of his captains. The leak, I whispered. Part of it, Ethan said. Trent receives information. Someone above him decides what information he receives. A warning suddenly flashed across the screen. Connection initiated. Victor immediately disconnected the laptop. That drive transmitted something. Ethan did not hesitate. Nobody uses a Callahan network. Move every active operation to the secondary system. Trent receives nothing except the false Brooklyn schedule. His phone rang seconds later. He listened, then said, "Let him believe we are moving it." Another trap. Another move already waiting. I picked up my father's photograph. Something was written along the white border in tiny handwriting. Claire, if you found this, the drive was never the evidence. My breath caught. Ethan. He read the sentence over my shoulder. Beneath it was another line. The evidence stays with my daughter. I do not understand. Then Ethan's eyes moved to my neck. To the small silver pendant I had worn since my mother gave it to me after my father's disappearance. He did not reach for it. Did that belong to your father? Yes. My phone vibrated before I could say more. A photograph appeared from Ryan. It showed the bank entrance from across the street. He had been watching us arrive. Then came his message. You finally opened it for me. Ethan read the words and went completely still. The vault was bait, he said. Ryan wanted us to activate the drive. Victor looked toward the disconnected laptop. Why? Ethan's phone rang again. This time his expression changed. Because the signal did not tell him where the evidence was. His eyes returned to my pendant. It told him who has it. The pendant around my neck had been with me for 12 years, and until that morning, I had never wondered why my father had insisted I keep it. Ethan did not touch it. Take it off yourself, he said. My fingers trembled as I unclasped the chain and placed the small silver pendant on the vault table. Victor examined the edge. There is a seam. Ethan stopped him before he opened it. Not here. He looked at the bank president. Nobody leaves this floor for 5 minutes. The man nodded without argument. Ethan called his office. Daniel, move all intelligence operations offline. Michael Trent receives the Brooklyn schedule at 10:30. Nobody else gets it. I recognized Daniel Cross's name. Ethan's intelligence chief. The man who had been tracing Ryan since the restaurant. Ethan ended the call and turned to Victor. We leave separately. You take the drive. Claire stays with me. The pendant goes nowhere near either Callahan network. 10 minutes later, inside Ethan's armored sedan, Victor carefully opened the pendant with a precision tool. A tiny black chip rested inside. My father's secret had been hanging against my chest through every apartment, every job, every night I spent believing Ryan had taken everything from me. Can you read it? I asked. Offline, Ethan said. Only offline. At his Midtown office, an isolated computer revealed hundreds of encrypted records. Most were inaccessible, but one audio file opened immediately. My father's voice filled the room. Older than I remembered. Tired. Alive. Claire, if you are hearing this, I failed to keep you outside of this. I stopped breathing. Ryan Mercer was sent to find the records. He was never supposed to stay in your life. My eyes burned. Ethan remained beside me, silent. There is someone inside Callahan, my father continued. Someone controlling what both families believe. Do not trust the person who brings you the answers fastest. The recording ended. I looked at Ethan. Daniel. Ethan's face revealed nothing. Maybe. He found Ryan. He found Bennett Holdings. He found the photograph. Exactly. Ethan reached for his phone, but stopped before dialing. Which means accusing him now would tell him we know. Instead, Ethan called Victor. Did Brooklyn move? Victor's answer came quickly. Moretti personnel arrived 12 minutes early. Ethan's eyes hardened. Only Michael Trent had received the Brooklyn schedule. Trent is compromised, Victor said. Yes, but Trent did not know we opened the pendant. Ethan looked at the computer. Daniel did. My phone suddenly rang. Ryan Mercer. I stared at his name until Ethan said, "Your choice." I answered. Ryan's voice was quieter than I remembered. "Claire, listen carefully. You have been running from the wrong man." My stomach twisted. "You followed me for 11 months. Because Cross would have found you if I stopped." Ethan heard every word. "You expect me to believe that?" I asked. "No. I expect you to remember the ledger. I never wrote the initials beside those transfers." A door opened somewhere behind Ryan. His voice dropped. "Your father did." Then the call ended. Before I could process it, the office lights went dark. Emergency power returned seconds later. Ethan was already issuing orders. Lock the financial systems. Nobody accesses the intelligence floor. Victor appeared at the doorway. Daniel is gone. Ethan looked at the empty hallway. What did he take? Victor checked his phone, and his face changed. Nothing from us. He looked at me. He took Claire's employee records from Marlowe House last night. My blood went cold. Ethan understood first. He was the one who accessed her address. My phone vibrated with a new message from an unknown number. It contained a photograph of my father sitting beside a window, alive. Beneath it were 6 words. Bring the pendant if you want him back. Daniel Cross expected Ethan to come running for my father. Ethan ordered everyone to stay exactly where they were. He wants movement, Ethan said, staring at the photograph on my phone. Movement creates mistakes. I could barely hear him over my heartbeat. That is my father. I know. Then we have to go. Ethan's steel-gray eyes met mine. We will. When Daniel has nowhere left to move him. He turned to Victor. Freeze every account Daniel has touched in 5 years. Call Moretti directly. Tell him Cross has been selling information to both families. Victor hesitated. Moretti will think it is a trap. Then give him Michael Trent's transfer records. He can verify them himself. Ethan looked toward another captain. Close the waterfront routes Daniel knows. Leave the Newark route open and make it look unguarded. Within minutes, the office transformed. Phones rang. Accounts locked. Vehicles changed routes. Ethan was not searching New York for one trader. He was shrinking Daniel's world until only one exit remained. My phone buzzed. An address appeared. An abandoned accounting office in Long Island City. Come alone. He wants me, I said. He wants the chip, Ethan corrected. You are how he expects to receive it. Ethan removed the chip from the pendant and handed the empty silver casing back to me. Victor frowned. What are you planning? Daniel believes the chip contains the only complete ledger. We give him something better. Ethan's technicians prepared a duplicate containing false financial records and a hidden identifier. Then Ethan called Luca Moretti himself. I heard only Ethan's side. Cross played us both. I am sending proof. Verify it. Then decide whether you want a war with me or the man stealing from both of us. Silence. You have 10 minutes. He ended the call. No threats. No bargaining. Just a choice. 9 minutes later, Victor's phone rang. Moretti had withdrawn his people from 2 disputed locations. Ethan nodded once. Now we go. The accounting office was silent when we arrived. Ethan did not enter first. He waited until Daniel believed I had come alone, then closed every route out of the building without announcing his presence. I stepped inside holding the pendant. My father sat near a window. Older, thinner, but unmistakably Thomas Bennett. Claire. One word shattered 12 years of grief. I wanted to run to him, but Daniel Cross stepped from the adjoining office. The man who had supplied Ethan with answers for years looked painfully ordinary. The pendant, he said. I held it tighter. Why Ryan? Because your father trusted his daughter more than any bank. A second voice came from behind him. That was not the question. Ryan emerged from the hallway. My breath caught. He looked exhausted. You were supposed to disappear, Daniel said. Ryan looked at me instead. I tried. His voice broke slightly. At first, Claire, I approached you because Daniel ordered me to. Later, I tried to get you away from him. I failed. I felt no forgiveness. Only clarity. Ethan entered then, calm as if he were walking into his own office. Daniel stared at him. You came. No, Ethan said. You stayed. Daniel's phone began ringing. Then another phone on his desk. Then another. Ethan had frozen his money, exposed his network, and turned Moretti against him before ever entering the room. Daniel finally understood. He had no organization left to return to. I moved toward my father. Ethan did not stop me. Daniel demanded the pendant. I placed it on the desk. He opened it and found the duplicate chip. His expression changed. Ethan's voice remained quiet. Everything you access from that file identifies every account you control. Daniel stared at him. You planned this. You taught me where the leak was. Minutes later, Victor escorted my father safely outside while Daniel's network collapsed under its own records. In the quiet afterward, Ethan approached me. His hand lifted toward my shoulder, then stopped several inches away. May I? He asked. I looked at his hand, then at him. For the first time, I did not feel the urge to protect myself. Yes. His hand rested lightly on my shoulder. My father spoke behind us. Claire, there is one more file. Ethan's hand fell away. I turned. My father was holding the real chip. And if Ethan opens it, he said, the war with Moretti does not end. He gets the power to destroy them. The real chip could destroy Moretti, and Ethan Callahan surprised everyone by refusing to open it. My father stared at him. Victor did too. You do not want to know what is on it? I asked. Ethan looked through the office window toward the gray Manhattan morning. I know enough. Thomas shook his head. You do not understand. That file contains 12 years of Moretti accounts, shell companies, payments, everything. Which means using all of it would not only destroy Moretti, Ethan said. It would destroy businesses, employees, and families who never knew whose money passed through their accounts. I had spent 2 days watching Ethan command men who frightened everyone else. This was the first time I understood the difference between having power and needing to prove it. Victor placed a phone beside him. Luca Moretti is calling. Ethan answered. Callahan. I could not hear Moretti, but Ethan's expression never changed. Cross is finished. Trent is finished. Your people leave my waterfront routes by midnight. A pause. No, this is not negotiation. Another pause. Ethan looked at the chip in my father's hand. Because I have 12 years of your financial history sitting in front of me. The room became perfectly still. You can force me to use it, Luca, or you can spend the next decade grateful that I chose not to. He listened. Midnight. Then he ended the call. By noon, Moretti had withdrawn from the disputed routes. By evening, 3 shell companies connected to Daniel Cross were under investigation, and every Callahan captain had been ordered through a complete financial audit. Ethan had won his war without turning New York into one. Ryan gave investigators enough information to verify my father's records. It did not erase what he had done to me. Nothing could. He had entered my life because Daniel ordered him to, lied to me, controlled what I knew, and taught my body to expect fear before kindness. Whatever regret he carried belonged to him. Forgiveness belonged to me, and I was not ready to give it. My father and I had an even harder conversation. He had disappeared to protect me, but 12 years of protection had also been 12 years without him. You should have trusted me with the truth, I told him. Tears filled his eyes. I know. For once, nobody tried to explain away the damage. 3 weeks later, I returned to Marlowe House. Same black uniform, same chandeliers, same tables, but I was different. Bennett Holdings had been cleared from my name. My apartment was mine again, and I had enrolled to finish the accounting degree I abandoned years earlier. Ethan came in shortly before closing. The room still changed when he entered. Men still lowered their voices. He was still Ethan Callahan, Mafia Boss, head of the Callahan Syndicate, and possibly the most controlled man I had ever known. He had not become harmless. I had simply learned that danger and cruelty were not the same thing. Coffee? I asked. Please. I turned toward the machine. A moment later, I sensed him behind me. His hand approached my shoulder slowly enough that I could see its reflection in the polished steel. 3 weeks earlier, my body would have reacted before thought. This time it did not. His hand stopped before touching me. Even now he waited. I turned and placed my hand over his. You can. His fingers rested lightly against my shoulder. No fear came. Just silence. Safe silence. I smiled because I finally understood what had changed. The first time Ethan reached for me, I protected myself from a memory. This time, I reached for him first. Not because he had become less dangerous, but because I finally knew where his power ended. At my choice,